Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on August 7th, 2023 at approximately 4:21 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my own day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the philosophies that I personally guide my own life and behavior by. So this is not a question, here's a couple of tools that might get you by. These are ones that are proven not only by myself, but by the literally thousands of other people I've offered the tools to. Now, before I get into it and go any further, we're just going to start off with the easy part. How about if we do the real easy part? That is not what I need. I require, as per usual, we've got things a little sideways here, but that's okay. There we are. Bring that up so you can actually see it. And we forgot to do this. Of course, I almost think this is normal. But thing we have to remember is society moves way too fast and with little to no thinking at this point, it would seem. That said, before we get into things, we have, where do we got? We've got football in with the gold. Shadow and Sun are in with the silver. And then we have Eternity Eternal is in, what do we got? Eternity Eternal is in with the bronze. And then we have Nathan coming in with the honorable mention. Now, that being said, we'll get on with things here. As per Joe Stewart's request, we are going to be looking at how to deal with the situation when you've been suspended from social media. Now, understand something. I myself am not I'm not a technology specialist. All I can give you is a way to really cope with things, mentally speaking. But before I start getting into that side of it, we do have to take a look at a couple of things. Where are we here? Bring that up because we have Shadow and Sun who has come into the room and has kindly decided, like the rest of you, to share his time with us. With this in mind, we're going to find Shadow and Sun here and give you a direct link to his live stream. And like I said, drop in, give it a listen. If you like what he's got to say or if you like what he's showing, absolutely give him a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Okay, now we also have Nathan has shown up, and Nathan runs the Quantum Show. Now, of course, today is Monday. Yeah, today's Monday, so the Quantum Show won't be on today, but it will be on Saturday again. At least unless Nathan tries to pull one of my maneuvers and up and die on us, which I'm hoping he doesn't do that. It really does interfere with your day-to-day life. But again, drop in, give him a listen, and give him a listen. If you like what he says, if you like what he's got to offer, do give him a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and then share the daylights out of it. Now, where are we sitting here? Okay, now, before I keep going we keep pushing things back a little, but as I've told you guys, if you've got a question, even if it is not in the topic that we're discussing at the time, come right out and ask. Put it in all caps, partial caps, or at least give that funny little wavy sign so we know. So I can find it. Now, football is going, is it wrong to get a vampire facial? Well, I'm going to absolutely plead ignorance on this. I know what a facial is, but I don't know what a vampire facial is. Assuming you're not tearing somebody's face off for it, then there shouldn't be a whole lot wrong with it. Okay, but do understand, fashion is in the eyes of the beholder, if you will. Pray it's not a D&D beholder. But no, quite frankly, from my standpoint, there is little to nothing that you could do wrong per se. Okay, the reality of it is, if you're getting a facial and it helps you feel better about you, okay, this is not a bad thing. Now I'm just scanning through here. Oh. And yeah, Nathan is just passing on. Oh, there's a reported alien attack in Peru right now. This is what I call blatant fear mongering. Let me ask you this, Nathan. Is Peru still in existence? Okay. Or have there been any major cities wiped off the map? I don't mean has there been an explosion here or there. I mean wiped off the map wholesale. If not, I would really question whether or not you're dealing with an alien invasion. Okay, they don't operate in that fashion. They don't bother with, oh, let's scare people. It's just like, let's wipe the party and the fight out. It's just one of those things I look at going, that just doesn't add up for me. One of the things you have to really remember, okay, is when we're talking about life, we can focus on what's gone wrong with the world. We absolutely can. I just choose not to anymore. And one of the big things that creates, one of the things it helps with, if you will, is I tend not to put my foot in my mouth as much as I can avoid it by avoiding certain topics. But I will tell you this. There is no, from my standpoint, there is little to no evidence. And I haven't looked at the newsreels because, frankly, I know what they're likely to be showing. That's a human trait. In all fairness, Shadow, from everything I've talked to, from everybody I've talked to of the off-world community, okay, this idea of small-scale bedlam, mankind is creating enough of its own bedlam, they won't waste their time. Okay, now, they will, the best they would do is mankind creates bedlam, and they come in and mop up, as in collect the survivors, and away they go. And I don't mean the survivors from a religious standpoint. I mean the ones that didn't die. Okay. And we have the ferret. How you doing? Welcome aboard. Couple of very important things for you directly, ferret. One, if you've got a question that you've got that you'd like to ask, doesn't matter what the topic, even if it is not in the topic we're discussing at the time, absolutely put the question in the chat room. Put it in as all caps, at least partial caps or a wavy hand, so that I can spot the thing. Do understand I'm a one-man operation right now, and technology is not my strong suit. Okay, that would be first and foremost. But I am glad you dropped in. Okay, and again, for all of you, if you like the stream, do give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and then share the daylights out of it. That would be really, really appreciated. Yeah, Nathan off the Quantum Show, he's just adding, there are more stories. Nerd Report is on it now. The reality of it is there will be stories of attacks, and they're already starting. Problem is, mankind is so caught up in its own issues that anything to draw their attention away works well. Nice seeing you, Chad. Hope you're feeling better. Yep. Hey, it's sometimes better than Coke, although I've already had that. I absolutely agree with you there, Nathan. Nathan's just going, it smells like Project Bluebeam. Fake alien attack, false flag to create fear. From my standpoint, it boils down to this. The moment somebody posts, verifiable footage that says, oh, such and such a city is gone. Okay. I don't mean it's been bombed. I mean it's just gone. Then we start worrying about a alien attack. This idea of blowing up a building or causing a little bit of a forest fire is not their way. And for the answer to that question that so many people ask me, where's my proof? Well, let's start with the idea the cities aren't going missing. As for my giving you quantifiable proof for where I got my information, not going to happen. Okay, it's not like I do any research, nor do I bother going around trying to get photographs. Okay, I just simply work with what I've seen firsthand. Okay, which is why when we get to that funny little topic of the Flat Earth Society, okay, where they go, oh, the Earth is flat and we can prove it. I'm like, I don't care about the proof. I've been off world. I've seen the planet from orbit. The thing is not flat. Okay, and angels are life is in the house. And with that in mind, okay, we come along, we pop up this. This is the link to Angels stream. And like I've said before, undoubtedly multiple times, pop in, give her a listen. If you like what she has to say, come right out and tell us all. Come right out, do subscribe to it, give her a thumbs up, and then share the daylights out of the stream. I take a look at this whole thing. We can talk about fear. Lord knows there are literally billions of people that are standing there in front of massive amounts of people, in front of television, in front of just congregations going, the world's going to end. We're all going to die. Well, I'll bring you up to speed. Y'all are all going to die. Okay, the odds of you getting out of this alive are not good. Okay, the odds of getting off the planet alive are getting better. And quite frankly, as a slight side note, to in honor of those that have died in the process of trying to get off the planet, absolutely, my hat goes off to them. Condolences to the people left behind from the events that went really south. Yeah, I don't blame you there, Ferret. I'd like to say I gave up soda. On the other hand, I can honestly say I did give up on the alcohol. I drink very little of it, but like you, I am in far better shape than I was 30 years ago, and getting better as we go. But now what is happening is it's time to really turn around and change this world for the better. We can do this, but it's going to take... Yeah, no, we really don't. And mind you, in all fairness there, Nathan, we got something even better than corn syrup up here. We got maple syrup. And that is far better, far richer, mind you, in my opinion, than corn syrup. Henry, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, one of the big things I will touch on right away concerning this whole thing of how do you cope with being suspended from social media. Something we got to remember. Okay, all of you clearly, everybody in this chat room clearly either has a computer or access to one. By reaching out to individuals and by making connections outside of the social media platforms, as in you've got an email, send an email. Speaking of which, Nathan, I did send a response to you last night. Hopefully it came through and you got to take a look at it. See, I still use Facebook there, Henry, because it happens to be where I'm getting the most coverage right now. I don't know the best one. I don't know the best social media platform, but I'm learning as I go. And this is why sometimes I ask you guys for input as to what you're thinking. And you'll notice, I'm down, I've still got one box way down here. You can just barely see it. Where is it? Right here. Okay, but you'll notice that box is going away. Yep, that's right. The stack of boxes is going. I've now started to really push. Oh. Well, here's the thing. One thing you got to remember, Ferret, just a thought. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of things in society that I have very definitive opinions about, but something you might want to consider as you're figuring out how to formulate what you're saying. Remember, so first and foremost, we've got 8 billion people on the planet. Okay? And if you can find a way to point out that you personally are not content with what they're doing, and yet you understand why they're doing it, if you can figure out how to pull that, how to phrase that, okay, you'll find you get into a lot less trouble. Okay, and like I said, with that in mind, I'm building a publishing company. This is not a question of is it going to happen? It's happening. Am I going to go global with it? Absolutely. I wonder if I've still got that document up here. Where are we? Should be that one. But get that out of my face. Wrong screen. Okay. There we are. Now, I am going to be going into publishing regarding authors, whether you're writing a story, whether you're writing a poem, doesn't matter. Authors, musicians, artists. Okay, I've already started co-writing a book with another person. Not like I didn't have enough books on the go. Okay, and this gentleman has a dream. He desires to put a screenplay together. So guess what we're working on at the same time as we're getting this story written. Now, I've already started working on this. This is not a question of I'm the best of the best. I intend on having the best of the best in my life. Absolutely, I do. Okay, and there is no way that's going to manage to talk me out of that one. It's just I don't feel like paying for the best of the best as it. I don't feel like paying premium dollar. Joe, how you doing? Glad you could join us. From my standpoint, boils down to this. If you can connect with people outside of social media, I strongly encourage you to do so. Absolutely. And this is where email, or if you got that really weird idea, I know this is way into the twilight zone here. Okay. If you got one of these, you can get on the phone and actually talk to people. It's a weird concept, but it will enable you to mobilize things and to make changes to your life that positively affect your life and the lives of those around you. This is one of those things that we really have to look at. Look, where am I? Go back over here for a half a second because I want to make sure. all kinds of neat things. I'm just glancing at my email here. This is a live stream. Okay. And yes, I do have a tendency of getting a little carried away with some of the other stuff. But the reason for doing that is to ensure that I stay on top of things. And where, pray tell? Oh, I don't have it there. So how about we open that up? We open Facebook up and see what's popping. Oh. And let's go to home. Now, the neat thing about it is social media. Here's a really funny thing. Everybody is so caught up in the idea of let's make things happen right now. Okay. Let's make things and let's get things to happen in the immediate. The fact of the matter is, society grew very comfortably, in my opinion. Okay. In my opinion, people have gotten so caught up in immediate gratification, they've forgotten to take the time. They've forgotten to really think before you jump. And where it comes to social media, before you put your foot all the way in your mouth, and I already got slapped once. Okay. I had my hand slapped way back during lockdown for making what I thought was a simple comment. Apparently they didn't like it much. Now on the plus side, I didn't get banned. I got told this is your first offense. So we're just going to leave you with a warning. So I did. They gave me a warning. I took it to heart. Yeah. I got to ask you, Joe, from your standpoint, where it came to Pinterest, was it of any use as far as visibility went, or did you get any kind of a functional return on it, as in response for whatever you were posting? Because I've been told I should be expanding my social media presence. And well, frankly, the way I figure that out is by asking. One of the biggest things that I will tell you, in order to avoid getting suspended or getting banned from a given site today, or more to the point, before you post another thing on any site, double check the fine print. Read what the contract says about what you're allowed to talk about. Okay. And, you do that, you'll avoid a lot of problems. I'm just turning my airflow up a bit here. Wonder what we're looking at. So what do we got? Pop that. And yeah, look at that. We're over 100 degrees right now. Well, we are at, let's see, 30 is 6 at 9 is 54. Nope, not quite over 100. We go 30 divided by 9 is 6. Or divide by 5 rather is 6 times 9 is 54. Plus 32, it's only 86. But it's hard enough to count in my books. The one thing that I will tell you, when you take a look at the way social media is, this is why I say, if you're looking at the way the world is going sour. How are we doing, Emmy? Glad you could join us. Oh, well, I do feel for you there, Joe. But my personal outlook on it is this. Yes, they said you can't come back. Okay. In my opinion, Joe, that's their loss. Okay. Now, they've got their own rules, so you do sort of have to follow those. But it does happen. Trying to avoid my phone dying. And yes, I'm one of those really weird people that still has a landline. So if I have a power failure here, I've still got a way to call out. But no, social media is a great little thing, but you got to remember one thing about it. Whatever you say, whatever you post, whatever you email somebody, it's out there permanently. Okay. And there is no eliminating it. Okay. Not from anything I've seen. But one of the things is you find a place that you're comfortable. Okay. And stick within the rules. Because don't forget, karmic law. You must follow the laws of the land in which you are. Which, by the way, is a subset of do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Now, as I've mentioned, I've taken to mentioning it regularly. I do put out a monthly newsletter. Okay, I'm actually working on September's, well, not right this moment, but I am working on September's edition to go out in 10 days. Yeah, yeah, fair. I'm in Kelowna in the Okanagan Valley, and we're sitting at 30. You know, which is wonderful. You know, from my standpoint. Yeah, that'd be about right. Because again, just for those of you that don't do the translation, right? Yeah, I don't doubt. Ferret, whereabouts on the island are you living? I grew up in Comox. I'm just kidding, mind you, I spent a little time in Courtney as well. Bingo. Yeah, that's literally where my old stomping grounds. Now I gotta ask you that real important question. In my case, I actually graduated from Highland Senior Secondary. Correction, I went to grade 11 in Highland. And then I moved up to Kelowna to graduate. You know, I was down there. I was actually down there back in, how long ago? Yeah, I graduated in 81. So the last time I was in school in Comox was in 1980. I still love the place. You know, and you know, if I had any inkling on moving, that would likely be where I'd go because it's still a lot smaller than what it is here. Oh, okay. If you don't want to tell me who it is, yeah. Oh, it always has been though. You know, the most expensive thing about living on the island there, Ferret, has always been getting off it, or for that matter, getting back on it. You know, I came down there for my 40th, which would have been, yeah, in 2021, I came down for my, no, we were late. 2022, I guess it would have been, because we combined the three, because we're starting to lose a lot of our grads. But no, it's really kind of comical. But when I was growing up, the school was the social media. Oh, there you go. See, I barely left my house for a decade before the pandemic started. You know, and now it's just become a way of life. But the reality is, I decided it's time for me to step out of the shadows and really start pushing what's got to be done, which means really start pushing this issue. We can continue looking at the negative side of things. Now, a lot of people will say we'll make a call all kinds of names of different media platforms and blame them for them banning people. The problem is, and Joe, I know you made the comment that you did it to yourself. So many people overstep boundaries, then get in trouble, then get mad about it. You know, which is absolutely bizarre. Yeah, I didn't have a sense of humor. you know, I got by because, well, I ended up getting bullied a lot. But I had a real good front runner group of people, primarily family, that ran interference on the bullying side of it. And of course, for anybody that knows anything about Comox, it's a military base. Might give you an idea of the mentality set. So I mean, from that standpoint, we're looking at a lot of change that's got to take place, but that change has to start right here. Okay. Now, I will tell you, I see it a lot in this chat room. There is so much support, is so much support going on between the people in this room. Okay. I know this can be replicated in the physical world. It's just going to take a little bit of time. And this is why I say, if you do desire a copy of the newsletter, okay, it comes out absolutely free. Whether it's email or hard copy, doesn't matter to me. Okay, but all I require is an email, is a message from you, that says, I'd like the email or the hard copy. For an email copy, clearly all I require is an email address. You desire a hard copy, then I need a physical mailing address. Okay, but the one thing I will, and I've warned people a lot about this, okay, I'm not really good at putting on the diplomatic approach. From my stand, it really boils down to, ask me a question, go ahead, I'll give you an answer. It may not be the answer you're seeking. Okay, it'll be the honest answer. It just may not be what you were hoping for. Now, where are we? Let's hit refresh just on principle. But no, social media is one of these things that we have to realize. Each platform has its own rules, so double check the rules. But once you've been banned or been suspended, okay, really take a look at your behavior first. Like Joe, did you do something that broke their contract? Did you violate one of their rules? If so, being mad at them and telling everybody, oh, this platform is garbage, okay, is overstated. Let's face it. From my standpoint, I've been doing this since March 6th of 2021. Hard to believe I've been at this for over 2 years. But with that in mind, okay, in all that time, I've only had to silence one person in this chat room. And to be honest with you, there were a whole pile of the subscribers in here, okay, that jumped on the individual right off the bat. Okay. Yeah, and that's the whole thing. This is why one thing I will never do, I don't tolerate it in my own conversations. And some of you have seen what happens when I get into a panel where the conversation goes sour. I do my best to bite my tongue, and if it gets to be too much, if it's gone a direction I can't work with, or more to the point that I won't work with, I just excuse myself. Okay. I did it once to on a channel where I just walked off the stream. I didn't say anything. Well, I did. I said, I'm done with it. I'm not exactly known for being subtle. Okay, but am I one to push limits? Certainly. Just the one thing you got to remember, there's a neat little thing out there, goes, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. If I desire your respect, the very, very, very least I can functionally do is respect you and respect your opinions. But one thing I won't do in the middle of respecting that is I'm not about to cotton to people, calling people down, or declaring that what we're talking about is garbage. Okay, understand there are billions of people out there listening to somebody say, hey, we're all going to die. Well, they are right. We are. Okay, I just happen to have had a lot more runs at it than you may have. Okay, the neat thing with social media is we got to remember social media is a venue for communication. It is not the only way of communicating. And realistically, the one thing you got to remember with these great big corporations, you're one person, they have who knows how many millions of people. Okay, you're getting upset about it, they're not going to pay a lot of attention to it. On the other hand, if we do something as a combined force, we can make a better impact. Well, I've tried the way I figure it, Shadow. I had to do the die thing, just to say, hey, there, check that off the bucket list. So I mean, let's face it, I died at birth. That was by astral travel because I decided I wasn't sticking around. Died by epileptic seizure or by fever. Died by poison, by epileptic seizure, by drowning. Okay, by temperature shock, by overdose. Okay. And it's quite possible, I'm still debating this, I may well have died by heart attack. I'm not 100% certain on that one. Yeah. And Joe's just going, I've been in Facebook jail 6 times. And I can understand that. But on the plus side, the one thing I have seen about you, Joe, is you come up with some really great ideas. Yes, some of them can potentially push limits, but you got to remember, and this is why I tell people, if you're writing in capital letters, in all caps in this chat room, this is not called yelling. If there's cross communication going on, this is not called trolling. This is a support system. And I'm doing my best to keep this as a safe support space. Okay. Am I going to tell you I'm perfect? Absolutely not. I mean, let's face it. I will tell you wholeheartedly that I probably drink more coffee than I should, but I got over it pretty quick. Heck, even my nutritionist turned around and told me the amount of coffee I was drinking was actually a good thing, because I don't drink it strong. But what we do have to look at here, and I'm just starting to work it out. Okay, I haven't worked out pricing, what have you, but we did do a revamp on the layout of the newsletter, so I'll be working on that again. Because, well, let's face it, it's the 7th, and well, it comes out on the 17th. So I'll be doing a whole pile of that work over the next couple of days here. Just to make sure we stay on track, on top of things. One of the biggest things we have to remember, okay, is when you're striving to get your point across, number one, never, ever, ever talk about any overthrowing of any government. This is just a bad idea. Iowa's. This is not necessarily good. I am glad you came in, by the way. But I really strongly suggest you double check the fine print and the rules and regulations that they've got listed to make sure. Oh, what is this? Oh, okay. They banned you for that. Banning you from Reddit because you're not active, to me, strikes back to the idea of, okay, here we have a kid skipping school. So because he's skipping school, oh my gosh, how can we punish him? How about if we suspend him? Because that works well. Maybe you think about it, kid wasn't going to school to start with, so he skipped. Now you're saying you didn't do that well enough, so we're just going to take the stress away and say you can't come back. Now, I don't know about you. I went to school. I stayed in school because I didn't like the kids outside of school. They were all playing hooky. Yeah, I've heard a lot of complaints about Twitter. I don't know much about Reddit. It has been suggested that I get an account up on Instagram, and I'll see how that goes. The important factor is to get clear in your own head what you're aiming for, what you desire to accomplish. What am I doing here? As you guys know, I keep a pad of paper here to make notes when I require it. Yeah. Henry goes, oh, let's see. iWalks is going, Reddit is great. I like it. Cover all of them for the creative writing and art part of it. Yeah, I do agree with you there, iWalks. I just haven't been into a lot of it. But Henry goes, Twitter is an exercise in getting angry over nothing with people you've never met. That's my personal opinion in a lot of what gets posted on Facebook or any of the social media. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Okay. And I find the same thing. There is a staggering amount of complaining going on. If people, and I will tell you this again, if you're reading or posting anything negative, and just even if you only look at one negative post, okay, make certain you put 2 positive posts up. It'll help balance the energy for you. It seems, I'm just reading what you wrote there, Angels, and it seems that a staggering number of people get banned or get blocked out of these sites. Myself, I'm one of the lucky few. I haven't had it happen yet. Hopefully it'll stay that way. But thus far, I haven't been banned from anywhere. It was really kind of funny because I used to drive with a lead foot. And much as I get pulled over for speeding, I never once even pulled one ticket up. Don't know why. Don't mind why. Yeah, Shadow's just going, YouTube is why social media, news, and TV all rolled into one site, and my radio station when I'm in the mood for good music. Yeah, and absolutely, because you can find just about anything on YouTube. One thing you're not likely to find on YouTube is me singing, and count yourself lucky on that one. What do we got here? iWalks goes, blocking is one thing, erasing something is another. That's why I have everything saved, because if I didn't, I would. If I didn't, I would go crazy. Oh, what do we got? World just got in. Hey, World, how you doing? Glad you could join us. He just got a copy of the long out of print Marvel Superheroes RPG. Judge's book in the mail. Also got the Realms of Magic supplement. Oh, wild. I used to play Marvel Superheroes. Okay, I still found Champions was a better layout, mind you, or had a lot more versatility. Mind you, maybe that's because I ended up playing it for longer. But no, that, like we said, the whole thing about role playing, that's another field of endeavor, and I will still stand by the idea that face-to-face, tabletop gaming is far superior in so many ways, okay, to online gaming, because you get a much more immersive experience, emotionally immersive experience. Now, what have we got here? Holy, now there is a really nice price cut. The things, and speaking of things like that, gotta do this. World is in the house right now. Oh, no, this is not Sunday. But World is in the house, and with that in mind, we take this, and this is a link to World's site, to World's live stream. Absolutely, drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, come out and give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel, and then share the daylights out of it. The neat part, like I've been seriously considering going and tracking down Aftermath again, because my books are pretty badly worn out. But we look down that road. I used to play D&D, Traveler, Aftermath, Star Frontiers. What was it called? Trying to remember what the first one was. Yeah, I'm pulling a complete blank. I did that map you see on the door behind me here. That's actually the map from Universe. One of the first RPGs. Okay, just not a very well-known one. At least from what I gather. But all of these role-playing games, quite frankly, have helped contribute immensely to my writing. And this is why I say we just started writing a joint play. We just started writing co-writing another novel. Only this one is somebody else's idea. And here we have World is just letting us know that that inevitably finding Bigfoot, Nebraska is coming out next month. And again, the fact of the matter is, World comes up with some phenomenal footage. I don't know if it was your site there, World. I was talking to somebody the other day that said they came across somebody with a footprint that the foot itself was 17 inches long. Now that is a big foot. Well, yeah, and that's the funny thing there, Joe. And I'm glad you had the opportunity to. The one thing I will tell you guys, if you've got a problem with the social media, okay, venting about said social media on any other site is likely to go off a lot better. Okay, unless it turns out that, let's say, for instance, Twitter owns LinkedIn. Okay, know who owns what. Because I will tell you, if you're venting and going, I don't like social media such and such, doing it on their stream is a really bad idea. Okay. In my case, I look at it going, all of them have their hiccups. All of them have their strengths. Yeah, played the Call of Cthulhu. I didn't play the Arduin Grimoire. Talismanta, I didn't. I think my brother used to. Chivalry and Sorcery we played. Car Wars, I actually took. You'll love this part. I actually took Car Wars and built a role-playing game component to it in order to run. Okay. And I'm sure you'll love this particular part here, World. There is one character in the Yldrbac Chronicles that drives a rig that he titled Ogre. Okay, it's literally a melded vehicle of 3 semis. Okay, as you know, and I mean, I can tell you riots that we had with car wars. Not the least of which was a highway battle between semis. But you know, the neat part about it is that when we're dealing with social media has absolutely made this world a lot smaller in a sense. Unfortunately, it also made it so that anybody could complain about anything, and it seems the majority of people that do a lot of the complaining don't actually do anything to correct the problem. You know, fairness, more often than not, they seem to actually they seem to more what is it called? Exacerbate the problem. Oh, world's gone may have been mine. I found a 31-inch track back in May. Found many tracks between 16 and 22 long. Many more on July wrap-up video this coming Sunday. That ought to be entertaining. I mean, you know, my feet are not very big. And to think, you know, I mean, a foot is a long thing anyway. I mean, you think about it. Yes, I just stepped out of sight for a minute. Nope, no, I don't. What I'm doing is I'm actually looking for a neat little thing they call a ruler. There we go. Like I said, I'm still very much a dinosaur here. But to give you an idea, now you guys know what a foot is. Well, there's a foot long. Okay, there's a foot long footprint. But we are talking about footprints that are, well, there's an 18-inch footprint. Now, can you picture somebody having a foot that size? Okay, and where were we here? 18. Derek, how you doing? Glad you could join us. There we are. At 22. You're looking at a footprint that size. Okay. Now, I'm not going to put my foot up for you to see. It's just not going to happen. First of all, I ain't that flexible. Second of all, it'd be kind of goofy. Okay. But yeah, that puts it in real perspective. My foot is only that long. Okay, 9 inches. Now you picture that, and we take this, and basically it boils down to this. If it's 9 inches, 21 boils down to adding an extra foot onto the length of mine. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a mighty big foot. Okay. But yeah, you know, and again, social media does let you pick and choose what news you desire to see. Okay. The thing we have to remember is that the major media do not control what's going out there much anymore. Okay. That literally boils down to the individual. In other words, you guys. And this is why I say, I know bad things happen. You know, I know there are problems out there. But for every negative thing you post, turn around and post 2 positive ones. Okay. It'll help keep the energy running properly in your world. Just a thought. Yeah, I'm going to have to really allocate a lot more time to going into the social media. Just going back up here to see if I missed something, which is quite normal for me. Now the thing we have to remember is this. Social media is the way to keep each other informed, but I will tell you, if we keep spreading the information about how we are different from each other in such extreme levels, okay, we're going to have some complications. Okay, we got to start focusing on the similarities. Let's take a look at this group. We have Nikki, who has one type of stream, myself, who has another, Nathan's got a very different stream, and then we've got World. Now, we've also got Chad, who's got his streams, and I think, if I understood it correctly, it does look like Chad's going to start bringing out videos again, which is a great idea. But I will tell you, from my standpoint, it boils down to this, and this is why I bite my tongue. Okay, I don't participate in politics. I don't look at it, I don't study them, and I certainly don't argue about them. Okay, I've been asked a number of times why not, and the reason is real simple. I don't see the point. I do, however, see the point of acknowledging when somebody's done something effectively. Where did I put it? Because I got to dig it up and get to work on it. Go over here. See, I got to make sure I put things back where they belong or I run into trouble. Still fighting with myself over whether or not to open a second company or just leave it as just Inner Voice. And I think that's probably where I'll go and just set up different departments for it. Okay, but the reality of it is, what have we got here? The one thing that I will tell you, one of the reasons I decided to put out a newsletter is because, yes, there's a lot of magazines out there. There's a lot of newsletters out there. Why would I bother putting out another one? Well, because I refuse to put out the negative information. There's all kinds of ways to get the negative information. Okay. And let's see if I've got a copy right here, which I think I do. Going in here where I've got the magazine. August. Now, like I said, this thing only goes out by request. But I did feel that we should have a sports section. So this is literally what the sports section is. Okay, where are we? The sports section. This is literally all I've got in it. Team sports and competitions. Whichever team gets the most points in a competition wins. For individual races and competitions, the car, horse, or runner that crosses the finish line first or fastest will be declared the winner. For a more detailed report, seek out almost any other newspaper, magazine, post, newsletter, news agency, or channel. Take your pick. You can find the extra information. This is also one of the reasons why I don't discuss politics. It's the same thing. Okay, there's a lot of places to get depressed and disappointed in people. I'm doing my best to put something out that you don't have to get disappointed in. Let's put that back where it was. One of the best things to do when you're having trouble with a particular setup, be certain you do not use people's or business names on your post. If you're complaining, if you're actually complimenting them, or you're trying to point people to them, absolutely use their names publicly. But if you're saying something bad, okay, it's not that it shouldn't be said. This is a question of if you're saying something bad, for instance, about YouTube's policies on YouTube, YouTube is likely to hang you up. Okay. Now, on the flip side of that, if you're complaining about Twitter's policies on YouTube, okay, YouTube's not likely to hang you up unless, and I don't know this one, unless YouTube owns Twitter. What do we got here? Oh, Derek is going. Speaking of sports, USA women's soccer got knocked out of the World Cup in round of 16 by Sweden. Well, that is undoubtedly disappointing for them, but unfortunately, somebody had to get knocked out. See, I'm a firm believer that sports are extremely necessary. Because I got knocked out of the entire sports scenario at age 12, I didn't develop that real strong competitive streak. But the way I look at it is this: if everybody hits the field and everybody is having fun, okay, then all you've got to do is win by one sequence of numbers. Okay, some games you got to win by 1 point. In tennis, you got to win by 2. But you don't have to win by 130. Derek goes, I 100% believe that all aliens aren't good 100%. Absolutely they're not. Aliens, every race, all the way from the smallest species right to the biggest. Not a one of these species can be classified as categorically all good or all bad. Okay. Yeah, world just goes, politics is mostly a dog and pony show. Yeah. Where is it? Yeah, opium for the masses. Most politicians vote how the donors want, not how their constituents want. And sadly, I agree wholeheartedly on that. Okay, I have run into, however, 2 politicians at least once in their life were absolutely dead honest. Okay, one would be Bill Vander Zalm out of BC, Canada. The other would be Arnold Schwarzenegger out of California. Okay, both of these politicians, at least once, because I heard it, so they had to say it at least once, were honest once. Derek is saying, my kid's school starts Thursday. It's gone by so quick. Yeah, no doubt. What grade are they going into there, Derek, if you don't mind my asking? That reminds me, I got to deal with that. Yeah, now everything starts to change. And I'll tell you, you think that summer went by in a hurry? You ain't seen nothing yet until you watch the way the school years start to fly by. Before you know it, they're going to be graduating grade 12. But I will tell you and everybody out there the exact same thing. You don't have to have your life in order by the time you're 20. My experience with well over 100,000 clients has been the average person doesn't know what they want to do when they grow up until they're in their late 40s, early 50s at the earliest. Now, in my case, I was in my mid 50s when I finally said, this is what I'm doing. And here I am, 60 years old, and now I'm pushing the issue. Okay. For you guys, it really boils, and I'd love to see some of you, see everybody here in the chat room. Well, every one of my subscribers, not my subscribers. It's just people have decided that they're going to listen to what I have to say for a little bit. Whether or not that holds is a debatable point. But the nice part about it, from my standpoint, when we look at school is an excellent opportunity to learn all sorts of things. The drawback is that you now, it seems, have to push your own desires. And yes, I will absolutely tell you, it's my generation that really dropped the ball on that one. My parents' generation created some of the the complexities, but my generation botched it completely. Yeah, exactly, world. And even Colonel Sanders of Kentucky Fried Chicken fame, he didn't open his first chicken stand until he was 65. Okay, and now he's a worldwide phenomenon. Sadly, when he died, so did the flavor of the chicken, in my opinion. I used to buy it all the time. Now I won't buy it from the brand shop here. From the outlet here. I just won't touch the stuff anymore. And the thing is, yeah, absolutely is, Derek. And here's the thing. Let me ask you all one question. Warren Buffett has a phenomenal amount of money. But let me ask you this. What is the difference between you and Warren Buffett? Okay. I'm building an empire. And yes, I call it an empire because I intend to get around the world and get involved in things. Okay. Yeah, it seems, unfortunately, KFC seems to have taken a real dive when it connected. I don't know who bought which, but when it connected with Taco Bell, that seems to be a massive turning point for it. One of the biggest things that I'm doing, that I'm aiming for with my newsletter and with the books I'm writing, is never do I want people to feel as though they're not a person. Yes, I've got account numbers for everybody. Okay. And that's why I look at my one box. Okay. And right now, where are we sitting? We are now up to 34 subscriptions to the newsletter. And again, like I said, it's 100% free because it goes straight through my advertising budget. But I now have to figure out, and let me ask you this, guys. Okay, as prospective writers, and virtually everybody has a poem or a story they'd like to tell. But as a prospective writer, what kinds of services would you think you would be looking for from a publishing company? The reason I'm asking is so that I can really go to the people, you guys, JQ Public, and go, okay, what is it that you're looking for to make certain I can cover as much as possible? Now, it will take time to get it up and running. Oh, there is just something too long. Yeah, football goes, KFC pies always have bones. There is just something so wrong with that. Okay. Well, on the good side, that one I can honestly say, world, in that particular case, I can legitimately tell you, yeah, been face to face with both. And I will tell you, for those of you that think Bigfoot is a violent, aggressive critter, tell you the three I met were absolutely the gentlest people I've ever run into. Okay. I mean, yeah, absolutely. At 5 years old, when I met the young Bigfoot, I was only like 2.5, 3 feet tall, and this guy was I didn't come up to his waist, and he was a young one. But when his dad when they took me back to my campsite, his dad spread his hand out and covered the entirety of my back, like and I'm not going to turn my hand upside down; doesn't work. But all the way from the nape of my neck to the small of my back, okay, and shoulder to shoulder. And he just put his hand gently on my back to push me forward, into the opening. Now, the neat part about it is that memory, I talked to my father about it. Now, my father passed away back in 2016, but my father actually corroborated that story and told me it was remembered absolutely the way it happened. Yeah, absolutely agreed. Now, mind you, the Wara, which look very similar to the Bigfoot, they'll rip both your arms off and beat you to death with a wet end. No, football, he really didn't. Yes, he smelled a lot, and because we were on the island, he smelled a lot like wet dog, really. Wet fur. But we're on the island. The island happens to be a rainforest. So would I say he stank? No. Of course, I do have a comparative. I look at that and go, he did not stink. However, finding an Easter egg outside at the end of summer via a lawnmower, now that reeked something fierce. But no, the Bigfoot have a very gentle nature, and talk about a caring touch. These people that go, they're out, they're out in the woods, they're rough skin. These guys had a lot of things, but rough skin was not one of them. But do I still remember that encounter? It's the only part of getting lost in the woods that was actually enjoyable. Because if I hadn't gotten lost in the woods, the young one wouldn't have found me, taken me back to his parents, who subsequently turned around and took me home. Yeah. Iwalks is going, it was first perfect and first pure energy when I touched it, it was on fire. I was inside and people were screaming inside a village that were being attacked. I marched into the silk on a mission. Yeah, absolutely I did, Cowie. I was actually on Vancouver Island, which is where I grew up. Okay. Now we were up, and Faraday, if he's still in the house, may know this area. But we were up either on Mount Washington, or there's a couple other places, but Mount Washington is one I know. Okay. But yeah, I ran into them on Vancouver Island. They're all over the place up there. The neat part about it, and did I put that there? One thing we have to remember is all of these species that we're seeing, some you'll run into are off-worlders, but there is a staggering number that are ancient races, what you would consider mythological. Okay. And we just saw JCL. How you doing? Glad you could join us. Yeah, this is why I say tell people, Cowie, I don't research. I live it. These are the things I've personally gone through. Okay. Now, do I have Bigfoot showing up on my doorstep? No. Would I ever go out on my own to go looking for a gifting site or something? Not a prayer. And the reason for that has nothing to do with fear. It has to do with the fact I'll get lost. See, now that's the funny part about it. World's going, the ones in the North Central Highlands of Vancouver Island are the dangerous group. And yet that's likely somewhere around, well, we were in central BC or central Island. What do we got here? I'm just reading some of the posts that are sitting here. The answer to your question there, Iowax, and I'm not sure where it started off. Oh, here we are. Yeah, Iowax is going, when I touched death, it spoke is a summary. The speech the speed I reached broke down everything until I couldn't comprehend what was feeling or seeing. Then bang, that's when I met the energy. See, death itself is not technically alive, but the people that govern it absolutely are. Football goes, I'm trying to eat vegan, but I think honey is okay. Sadly, way too many people abuse bees. But something you gotta remember, vegan, you couldn't, if you go straight vegan, you couldn't have honey because honey is an animal byproduct. But here's the thing. Humans were designed as an omnivorous race, not a vegan race. Okay. Humans require the meat protein, not a protein substitute. But, and again, you want to be vegan, that's your call. It's like I told my other half. She ever decides to try that and she wants to become vegan, that's her call. Okay, from my standpoint, not going to happen. I tried cutting down on meat and found out it didn't work that well. See, the way I look at it, a lot of people do love fake meat. My problem isn't whether I like it. My problem is if I don't get actual red meat, my body turns on itself. Yeah, and I look at that, Emmy, where you're saying I eat very little meat. You're not hurting the bees. You're not hurting the bees' honey. This is absolutely correct. You're not. Okay. Now, I'm presuming that means, football, that you don't eat Jello either. Because football is just going, she doesn't eat fat or bones. And in all fairness, I don't eat the bones and the meat I'm eating either. Although I have been known to when I was younger. Like for me, I've been over to the other side so often, it's insane. But, well, not really. Not really insane, that is. But something we have to remember, especially when we're looking at the social media. Okay, this kind of cross chattering here. We had somebody come in here a few months back, maybe 6 months ago now, that the first thing out of their mouth was, oh, there are so many trolls in here because of the cross chatter. And I'm telling you, the cross chatter, that's how you guys support each other. Like, I'm going to ask you not to do that. It just doesn't make sense to me. From my standpoint, if I'm going to actually be going down this week sometime and ordering a side of beef. And like I said, I'm quite ready to say yes. I eat meat. That's the way that goes. Oh, I've been on. There are some plants some planets you really don't want to be on because the plants will eat you faster than the animals will. See, all you gotta do is run into one supersized, sundew plant, and you're in trouble. Yeah, I'm a firm believer that the natural selection works. This is why, and I will quite readily recommend this site. It's a riot to read, which is the DarwinAwards.com. It's an absolute riot to read it because it shows all kinds of ways that people have gone and killed themselves by not paying attention to what they were doing, or by trying to take a shortcut, which isn't necessarily a good idea. Yeah, I know, bad for my health, but what the heck? Sooner or later, it'll kill me. Again, football is just going. Josh Turner told a story about aliens looking down on humans for eating meat and grains. Yeah. I don't know which race he was talking about. Because I will tell you, there are races that are absolutely vegetarian. Now, the funny thing is, there are some individuals that will absolutely look down on people. Absolutely. They absolutely think they're better than people. Okay. But then there's a lot of people that think they're better than people. And I'm telling you, it doesn't matter who you are or what your background, who you vote for, who you crawl into bed with, what you relate as. Doesn't matter who you worship. Not a one of you is any more spiritually valuable to me than any of the others, myself included. I knew I went to school with a couple of kids. It was absolutely brilliant. Okay. There's a rule in any of the so-called first world countries. If you got power lines overhead and your kite gets stuck in the wires, don't try and fish it out. Contact the power company. Let them come and get it. Because they'll come and get, or at least they used to come and get it, because quite frankly, it could short out the whole system. But I went to school with a couple of kids that in early, in our junior high, they went and got their kite tangled in the wires. Now, it wasn't bad enough that they decided they were going to go and try and fish it out of the wires themselves. But these geniuses had to take a metal handled rake, metal ends, to try and fish the kite out. Now, I don't know what went wrong. They all of a sudden ended up across the street in the hospital. Well, that's always a fun way to make an impression. Do you by any chance, Iwalks, do you by any chance recall the race you were dealing with? It's just a curiosity thing on my part. I do remember, like, there were, when I was on the Strazazian cruise ship, battleship, there were places I couldn't go on my own. But that had to do with the fact that you got to remember, these guys are huge. Okay. And I couldn't get the doors open without them. Didn't mean they stopped me from going there. Yeah, I'm wondering, I mean, if we're talking something that sounded like tech, could have been them. The other one that could have been, let me just grab the book here to get the right name. But I think we are dealing with not Zeron. Do this at the front of the book. Xenon. The Xenon are a robotic race. Okay. Now we can absolutely tell you without a shadow of a doubt, Iowax, the one race that there's no prayer it would be is you'd have never been on a Corlock ship. Because you couldn't physically get onto it. And Joe's just asking, what are the odds of seeing an alien in your own backyard? I've been seeing a lot of reports on Facebook of that. How much of it is true? Now, I can't tell you how much is true about which particular people are claiming it. Okay. But there are quite a number of people, especially recently, that are seeing more and more aliens show up on the doorstep, show up in the backyard. I should be getting word of one with the next couple of days here. What do we got here? Iwalk goes, I was trapped, but they were using me, and I took control of their people with guns, and he shot the guy at the table, and I screamed. No doubt. That's the one drawback of guns. Okay, so we're looking at quite literally an astral abduction. And yes, that does happen. Although the Corlock don't bring people onto their ship, because even in astral form, it can create problems with the electromagnetic field. But and yes, as we all know, it starts off at one end and we go all the way over there and then I come back periodically. Okay. When we're dealing with social media, it's the same as when you walk into somebody's house. If somebody's got rules, okay, absolutely follow the rules. Like, for instance, and this is really big in Japan as far as I've been told, when you go into somebody's house in Japan, it is normal for them to request your shoes to get taken off. Okay, and you respect that. While walking into a social media venue is much the same way. They've got rules, so you follow the rules. It's kind of like the same idea. I've got rules here that I work with. And with that in mind, when I go to other people's websites, other people's streams, or go onto somebody else's channel, I'm going to do my best to respect the rules in their house. Okay. Now, the funny part about that is that I will respect the rules in that house, but even if the rules in their house are much more lenient than mine are, I live by my own rules first, unless they interfere with the local rules. Yeah, that sounds very much like your Xenon. But again, I can't be certain with the little information you've got. And I don't think the specific who is necessarily the question here. Okay, but the biggest thing you have to remember in all venues is when you go into somebody else's area, you gotta follow their rules. It's just that simple. But one thing I will tell you now, right now, it's funny. I just got started. I already had 23 books already being simultaneously written. as of 2 days ago, no, well, 2 days ago we did the starting work, but as of this morning, I started the actual soft copy writing of a 24th book. But that one happens to be a co-author thing. And that really boils down to if I'm going to do something, I'm going to cover every venue I can. Okay. And this is why I asked you guys, that if there's something in a publishing company that you feel would be beneficial, obviously the less expensive it is, the better off you are. Okay. But that's provided you're still getting quality. Now, since I'm a bit of a perfectionist for what I desire, that's where I'm building my boundaries. Okay, but I've already started my printer is already, printer and graphic designer is already designing the front cover for a poetic anthology. Which I'm not about to complain about. She did a bang up job on the last 3. Now it's a question of making sure I get everything in place. I've already got my mission statement done to get the new branch of the business open. I've already got a small list of services I'll be dealing with. What I haven't figured out is entire pricing, because I will be adding, as was suggested by another contact of mine, it will be wise to actually provide advertising for other people, but it's got to be a real minimal amount right now. So I got to work out a ratio so I can actually go, okay, this is what it's going to cost, because it will get bigger. And the reality is that when I start doing it, I've got to work out the issue of whether or not to put it at a price that I can leave it sit at and just maintain it. Okay, there's a lot of variables there. It's still a question of the advertising being limited. Yeah, so far now you get to determine whether or not I'm a good communicator. Okay, perfectionist, yeah, pretty much. Okay, fair, I don't know how not to be. This is why I look for ways that everything balances. Okay, because the rules that I put in place, they don't only apply to me or to everybody else. It's not a question for me in my own world. It's not a question of, these are the rules you should follow, but I'm doing my own thing. No, if the rule is in my house, I'm following it. If the rule is there for the publishing side, I'm following it. And this is why when I approached this artist, she came and she went, here's the price I want for the work. I went, okay. And she goes, well, is that too much? I said, let me ask you this. Is that what you feel you're worth? And she goes, yeah, it is. I said, then we don't have a problem. I said, the only thing is, I'll guarantee it won't be paid up front. Because there's a lot of work to be done. And one of the big jobs I've got is 2 artists I already have in contact that I've already got in my employ that I've got to get back on track and get started moving on it. Before things get really badly sidetracked. So with that in mind, there's a lot to still be done. And by the way, world, and this applies to everybody, yeah, well, I may have a little bit of experience gaming. I started gaming when I was 13, the first Saturday of June of 1975. Or sorry, of 1976. My first introduction to gaming was at Christmas, during Christmas holiday in 1975. So yeah, I've been doing it for a day or two. Considering, my first exposure was 1975 We're now at 25. We'll, in a couple of years, we're at 25, meaning I'm pushing 50 years across the gaming table. You know, and the way I look at it, this is why I say I'm experienced at writing science fiction, science fantasy, self-help, children's, poetry, and reference. Okay. And the genre that I'm working, okay, the genre I'm working with right now, okay, the one I've just started co-writing, the guy that asked me to co-write it with him is a horror suspense, you know, a kind of a, I guess, more horror detective, if you will. Two genres that I'm just not familiar with. Okay, but he's got the knowledge where we can take his vision, and I know how to write it. Okay, I know how to put the idea to paint the picture in words. It's a good thing I can do it in words because I sure as heck cannot do it in physical form. You know, I certainly can't paint. Let me see if I've got something here. Starting with an M. I've got a screen right in front, which is what I'm looking at. Oh. Let's get you out of the way. That didn't necessarily work as well as I would have liked. So let's see this one. If we call this up, that one. There we are. Now, this is one. Give me 10 seconds. I'll be right back. Because I'm just going to grab something. This will matter a lot to you in all likelihood there, world. Told you it wouldn't take long. Just happened to be 50 feet away at the other end of my house. Now, I've shown you guys this before. Okay. But what I've taken to doing is taking the figurines I've got and painting them so they are what's in the books. Okay. Now, if you take a look at this little monster, okay, I forgot to bring out a man-sized one, but a human comes up to about here. Okay. These guys complete with the red and blue target on the back. Okay. These guys show up actually in book 12. Okay, that's a subterranean lizard, but the name I gave it was a municore. Okay. And that's okay. The important factor is it's big enough to eat somebody. What do we got here? Let's minimize that. Excellent, our world. Now, that's one of those funny things. That's one of those funny things that I look at going, that would be one heck of a setup to get that up and running. You know, I'm sure their world that you yourself know of the game Harn, the D&D offshoot. You know, if you've been playing that long, I have no doubt you've heard of Harn. Yeah, I think my books went to my older brother, and then he passed away. Or not my books, rather, but my cards. They either went to my older brother, or they might have ended up going to my younger one. But World, I would love to know more about that particular little thing you've done, that particular little game you've set up. Where it came to Harn, my cousin actually wrote it. Yeah, there really are. Harn was just one of the early ones. Yeah, my cousin was Robin Crosby, and he spent 7 years building that system. I used to have it, but it went the way of the Yldrbac in a flood. Yeah, so, let's face it, it runs in the family pretty solid. This is correct, Eric. Been here, much like World's D&D, work on the D&D game. I've been here 40 years now. And yes, in answer to that question to any of you, if you ever end up this way and desire to meet me in person, I don't have a problem with it. There is quite literally only one restaurant in the city I go to right now. Okay. Simply because I'm comfortable there. They know me there. There's no problem. And the fact that I'm comfortable there is the thing that makes all the difference for me. Oh, it's Wings. It's Wings is the restaurant I go to. And I swear I should have shares there. Because I always go first thing in the morning, first thing in the morning. They open at 11, and I'm usually on the doorstep at 11 o'clock. Because that way I get in I'm in and out before it gets busy. But it's like I tell people, that's my office away from the office. I go there, I'll sit down and grab my coffee right away, and I'll be there for an hour and a half writing. Well, that wasn't me. Skip the balloon. Glad to see you. I haven't seen you around for a while. Hope hope things have been going well for you. The nice part about it, there's a lot of Canadians, like for instance, and Faraday, if he's still floating around, would know this as well. But Pamela Sue Anderson, or not Pamela Sue Anderson, Pamela Anderson, she graduated from Highland Secondary, as did Kim Cottrell. And for those of you who don't know Kim Cottrell, take a look at Sex and the City, or of much earlier fame, Porky's. She actually grew up right around the corner from me. So yeah, I actually got to meet Kim Cottrell before she became a superstar. That doesn't surprise me there, Derek. Derek's just saying they have a new Sex and the City star, a show. Doesn't surprise me. Being as I don't actually have television, I certainly won't be watching that. And who, pray tell, is that? Yep, starting that as well. My own niece is now trying to break into the movie industry. But she lives down in Vancouver, and she's got her hands full as it is. But no, that's one of those real neat little things. There it goes. It's all the reflexes. Yeah, I didn't watch any of it. I mean, the reality of it is, I never did You know, I never did actually look at actors or actresses or anybody like that as being that much more special. You know, yeah, pretty much world. You know, Kurt Russell is one of these people that if he's going on, if he's in a show, you know it's going to turn out decent, even if he's only got a bit part. You know, I mean, there are some actors that you can do that. I'm hoping, and this is just wishful thinking on my part at this point, but I am doing what I can for it, is to make certain that the books I turn out are such that they gain recognition in that way. The unfortunate part from my standpoint, oh, gonna have to see that. Um, the reality of it from my standpoint is I don't see myself as something spectacular, but I would like to actually get things moving right. And Derek's just saying the final Escape from New York series is coming out. It's coming out soon. And Snake Plissken returns. That's excellent. Escape from California. Are they having another earthquake? That'd always be fun. Yeah, Lord knows I'm definitely going to try and keep an eye open. You know, it's funny, I didn't get to see Dungeons and Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves. I didn't get to see it in the theater. But since it came out on Netflix, I've watched it 3 or 4 times. Yeah. Yeah, Escape from LA or New York, Escape from LA. And now they're going after Escape from California. Now, why, pray tell, did they not pick like Escape from Boise or Escape from Wyoming? Although I think that might be a little bit, shall we say, bland. There's only so much you can do with flat terrain. But no, again, we've got the reason I like slowing things down a little is because we've got all this social media out there, and at a whim, almost at a whim, but companies don't target individuals usually, unless they become a problem. Yeah, there goes Escape from Earth is part M. Yeah, Skip and Lou's going, I haven't been to the movies since before COVID. Too much time travel planning for one movie, and expensive. Escape from California has always been trendy and popular. I mean, take a look at Smash Up on Interstate 5. Really good. And in my opinion, at the time, it was a really good movie. Right. But then I liked the crash. If they'd have started off with the crash if they had done the whole crash thing at the beginning, wouldn't have held as much. But it sure got your attention to start with. But no, what I'm looking at now, see, from my standpoint, much as I understand why people take their own snacks with them, I do understand it. I don't, but that's a personal choice because I know they're pricier than heck. Yeah. Well, there's a new one. World just going. Cali has lost over 100,000 residents every year for the last 10 years. Okay. Yeah, but you notice they're not dropping in population. Of course, they're having a whole pile of. Oh, I realize why. And that's why I said, Derek. And that's why I said I realize why people do it. And it's not a question of judgment on my part. It's a question of, if I'm going to the movie, I do the whole 9 yards there and just call it another expense. It just gets worked into the budget. But then I don't go to the movie very often. Of course, you also have to realize you have to realize that I'll go to a restaurant and pay $20 for an order of one piece of fish and some fries on the side. Yeah, that is unfortunately the reality of greed there, Skip. Skip to Malou is going, we lost 10% off our pig production. Meanwhile, prices are going up. There's a real simple way, globally speaking, to stop inflation cold. But you can bet your bottom dollar it won't be done. Okay? And that is all it would have to do is the governments would simply have to go effective immediately. All prices, all wages are frozen. And I mean all, not just a selective few. Okay. So, if they were to do that, inflation would be over. But I absolutely agree with you there, Skip to Malou. Skip to Malou's going, buy local. And I absolutely do. Even with building this publishing company, I've already found a printer that's willing to handle the whole 9 yards. Okay. And she is local. But she's also a perfectionist. There's a lot of reasons for doing things in different fashions. But remember what I mentioned. You must follow the laws of the land in which you are. Where it comes to movie theaters, it's the same issue. Their law, and they post it pretty clearly in most theaters, is you don't bring in outside food. Okay. And for me, that's all it takes. They said that, I went, nope, not doing it. Yeah, I'm a bit of a stick in the mud where it comes to breaking rules. Not where it comes to putting my foot in my mouth. I tried finding local artists to do the work for my books. The problem with that was I spent a year checking with the local art colleges and the local schools to find a local artist. What I found was nobody wanted to step up. So I got one artist down in Texas and one over in England. Okay. And, I'm quite happy. And now I finally have one up in Vernon, which is about an hour north of me. Okay. I haven't seen what her final outcome of the work that I'm getting her to work on is. But I am looking at it. Like I've already got the go-ahead for it. And she's working on it. But again, right now, the reality is according to Community Futures, which is a company that is a feed off of the government, they've said I can't take orders yet. Okay, all I can do is ask people for letters of support or letters of intent. Letter of support being something to the effect of, yes, I think Keith has the drive to make it go with the company. Letter of intent would be, I've got a book or a poem I'd like to get published, and I'm quite willing. I'm just waiting for Keith to get open. Either one of those would be really handy, and would really help my getting the support system in place that I require. Now, where are we? There we are. Now, that being said, if you've got questions, guys, in case you forgot, okay, that I didn't get to or that you didn't get to ask, drop me a line. This is the email address. That one's the one I'll get a hold of right away. Okay, and I do my best to get back to you. Right now, my email box, my inbox is empty because I've been emptying it out. But that same email I just put there is the same one used to access PayPal to order any of the books that I've got available. Okay, and I haven't figured out entirely what all I'm going to get my fingers into. That is, Skip to Malou goes, I'm still hoping you would make a board game and create your figurines off the different races of the world. That's not a bad idea. That'll take some doing because I'd have to figure out the way to run a board game. All I gotta do is figure out how a 3D printer works and then get that sorted around. But I'm sure I can find somebody to pull that part off. But there's a lot that has to go into that. And it's certainly something to look into. I will be getting figures done as I can get them, as I get things tied off. That's one of those little added venues because I'm going to be going into, I've already started looking into getting coffee cups, t-shirts. And when I look at t-shirts, I won't be getting ones that are iron-on. I'm going after embroidered. Okay, and I've got a couple of things already lined up. Then I've got to look into copyright and what have you, make sure I get it done properly so I don't get shafted in the process. But working on that side, but I'm looking at t-shirts, ball caps, coffee cups, placards, this sort of thing. That side of the merchandising side of it. Well, that's just it, Skip to Malou. My cousin, Robin Crosby, built hard, and he had people all over the world playing it. Okay. And, I do know that the guy we've just started co-writing a story for, we're going to be working on a screenplay. And he's the guy that's got some phenomenal head. Oh, he's got a phenomenal head on shoulders for some of that. I just got to figure out what method would be best. What I'm thinking, and, and I'd love your guys' input into it, but one thought that comes to mind is instead of making it necessarily a role-playing game per se, okay, but build it very much along the lines of a massive labyrinth. A massive labyrinth. Anybody that's played any one of the role-playing games knows what happens when you get caught in the catacombs. Okay, you got puzzles you got to sort out. You've got different traps or different creatures you have to deal with. But building something like that could be a lot of fun. Yeah, Joe goes, I haven't been to a movie theater since the first Paranormal Activity movie. I went with my younger sister's son and her boyfriend at that time. That was an interesting drive home. It could be, absolutely. Because the one thing we got to remember there, Joe, is the second you start focusing on the paranormal, you're going to start, especially if, as you are, you're somewhat gifted in that area anyway, you're going to start picking up the extra things going on. Something else that I am looking at, like there's a couple of ideas I've got where it comes to puzzles and what have you. See, when I was growing up, we had this neat little thing with Christmas where it wasn't just a question of what the gift was. It was how creative you could get in wrapping the gift. I'm just looking at this, Skip. Now, I don't know, like you said, like Catton. Now, I don't know the game Catton. So I presume that's one local to you. But that is one of the things I am considering doing, because I've been looking at ways to make the newsletter a little bit more, to make the newsletters a little bit more interactive, a little bit more interesting. And no, I am not turning it into a bunch of ads. Okay, it's just not going to happen. But on the other hand, having hidden puzzles that are set up where you can go through them and figure them out over time may be an idea. Okay, and I haven't quite figured that one out. There's a lot of things on the work. In case you hadn't noticed, my brain goes in 15 different directions at once. Okay, and that's on a slow day. But again, whatever you're looking at, whatever field you're going into, whatever job you're getting, okay, you gotta follow the laws of the land in which you are. The one thing I keep telling people when they go after a job as compared to a career is if you're offered a job for X dollars with X description, do X description. Whatever you're told the job is, do that properly. Skip's going, do you have board game cafes in Canada? We have heard where you put an amount and play. People sit for hours there. We've got small versions of that. I know of one gaming store that does host games every week. And yeah, after they close, they've got gamers that come in. Most of them go in to play Magic. Okay, as in the card game. Used to be years ago, there was a hall here where we would have 40, 50 people in the room playing 6 or 7 games. Right. But it's not that common. And of course, since lockdown happened, it's almost like people are afraid to get out of their house. Myself, I wasn't afraid to get out of my house. I just became reclusive because I didn't like getting out of my house. And of course, when lockdown came along, I was told, stay home, stay away from people, drink warm liquids. I looked and went, I didn't want to leave the house to start with. Now I don't have to make excuses. And I didn't want to get around people. So stay home, stay away from people, drink warm liquids. I've got a 30-cup urn. I'm good. My 30-cup urn sadly burnt out. But I guess 25 years on the go for, 24/7 was a pretty reasonable burn. Curiosity, if we go 24 hours a day, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Whoop, that was wrong. 24 hours times 365 times 25 years. That coffee pot ran. Now, figure out if a modern coffee pot could pull this. That coffee urn that burned out put in 219,000 hours of coffee. Of running. Virtually nonstop. Now I don't think they make technology that lasts that long anymore. So I mean, from my standpoint, it really boils down to this. Where are we here? Holy mackerel. Did that day ever go by in a hurry? With that in mind, guys, Derek's just gone, our Keith for dinner. It might be an idea. But with that in mind, we've run the 2 hours here. Okay. I'm going to say thank you so much for sharing your time with me, guys. Oh, what's for dinner? Oh, I'll go up front and I'm going to end up I do use canned food to start with, but I'm going to take a canned stew and add rice and fresh vegetables to it. That way I'm getting a reasonable balance and I don't have to worry about my taste buds because they're pretty much bad. Now, with that in mind, guys, again, if you'd like a copy of the newsletter, just drop me a line, or if you have questions, that I didn't get answered today. I didn't actually put a list together, so I got to piece that together today for what I'm going to do for the next couple of weeks here. But with that in mind, I'm going to say thank you so much for sharing your time with me tonight. I will be back again, but until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sake, stay positive.